couple of years ago we met in Lisbon, and I was talking about the total business intelligence. Now the total business intelligence is reality, is a big data. What do you think about the development of data processing systems and analytics in Europe, about the trends and directions?
Now, first of all, it's interesting that you remember a discussion we had in Lisbon, I guess 5-6 years ago. What I see the data analytics business and the data integration business is the most critical one for more or less all large companies, regardless what industries they're in. If you go back 20-30 years, there was a big trend on ERP, later it was CRM. Today it's really that the organizations will be the most successful one who are able and have the capabilities to integrate all available data. And this was a starting trend at this time, and it's, if you go back a few years, it was mainly driven by internal data, and now you add more and more data, external data, and also totally different structured data. And this brings us to big data.
And what do you think? This internet as a warehouse, big warehouse, is explored enough or not good enough?
Now, first of all, I believe the internet changed more or less all businesses. If you go back a few years, it was a one-to-one business. Banks, traditionally, you move to a bank, to a branch, and you have done your business. Today, the majority of the bank customers go to the internet and validate the different offerings. So if anybody does not react on this one and do not analyze the web clicks of customers, I believe these people will disappear, these organizations will disappear. So the internet is probably one of the biggest changes we ever had in the economy the last 200 years.
And Teradata is a provider of business intelligence systems for the banks as well. And what do you think? What is going to change with business intelligence systems according to big data? What is going to change from the bank point of view, not only from Teradata business point of view?
For me, the biggest change for more or less all banks will be that we live in a world with multi-channel. So multi-channel obviously means on the one side there are more different channels, but this also means that the single customer is also using different channels, and probably you have a few customers like our kids, so probably they only use one channel, and this is the internet, because I do not believe that my kids in the future will go very often to a bank. So we are in a generation where I believe we use both. We use the internet and we go from time to time to the branch. And now, if you want to run successfully a bank, you have to prepare yourself for this new generation, but also for us. To make a simple example, if one of us is searching at our bank for a mortgage today night, this means we are interested to buy a flat or a house. So the bank should know this one and should make us a special offer. And also we have to go down that already in the internet they treat customers different. But you only can treat customers different in the internet if you recognize them and if you identify the value of a customer. So for me, this is a big change for more or less all banks we have in the world.
And this business intelligence business is already prepared to conversion of multi-channels banking services and for obviously the convergation of media, because this is absolutely new situation during last couple of months we've got on the market. How is this process of preparation from the provider's side?
I believe from the provider side, there are several companies who invested a lot over the last 5 years to be prepared on this one. If you look to the strengths of Teradata, and Teradata was founded 34 years ago, we always had a clear focus on analytics. Obviously at this time nobody spoke about analytics, nobody spoke about data warehouse or big data. The name was reporting. So in reports, the difference between the world today and 30 years ago, reporting is always historically. So, but at the end, an organization, it's nice if you understand the history, but it's by far more important if you understand better the future, and even better if you can influence the future. So, but to do this one, you have to store and analyze all historical data, and obviously we have sources like the SAP ERP system, like a billing system, like web clicks, like video data or whatever, and if you want to have a clue about your customers, then you have to collect all this data and analyze this data. And I really see that we as a company, so Teradata as a company, is well positioned to drive value for our customers.
Is Teradata is cooperating with some telecom providers about the banking service? Is going to have some specially dedicated products for them?
Yeah, first of all, it's interesting. Both industries are our leading ones, our biggest one. So in a sum, the telecommunication industry and the banking industry drives more than 50% of our revenue. Your question goes in a direction that at the end, in the future, it's not clear in what industry a company will be, because more and more telcos will provide services which traditionally only banks have done. So I really believe, driven by mobility, driven by internet, driven by our smartphones we all carry around with us, the industries will come together, and in the future a lot of telecommunication companies will offer financial services, payment functions, and so on.
And what do you think about the future of traditional banking in the context of this trend? The banking traditional branch is a good future or not?
Definitely. So for me to start a bit broader, it's not a question if it's a traditional bank, it's not a question is this a traditional retailer, it's not a question is this a traditional telecommunication company, it's a question how good do you know your customer and what value you drive to your customer. So it's interesting, you know, we all speak about Google, we all use eBay, but at the end, why do we do it? Because we get some services, we get some stuff which makes us more happy. And now it's a question, you know, how can a company, a standard bank, develop so the customer feels well? So I believe, for example, they have to invest more in services. And to services, which is a kind of one-to-one, they have to understand better our income, they have to understand our private situation, and then the offerings they give to us should be one-to-one driven and not a kind of mass marketing. And whoever will do this better will be successful in this market.
And the high management of banks to understand the needs of the new client and the needs from the business intelligence side for the modified the traditional business. They are prepared for this?
It's an interesting question. I just answered this to a customer outside Poland. If I visited customers 5-6 years ago, the first hour we only spoke about how important data is, how important it is to integrate data and that you can get a business value. I really see that 95% of all senior managers, regardless what industry, understood this one. Now it's really the next wave, how to execute in a company. How do you bring the majority of your team behind this data-driven decision making? How do you work with privacy? How do you work with external data? To do all this, it's now an execution topic, not that we have to convince anybody to work on this.
Mm-hmm. And what is the challenge for the banking sector? What trends and IT applications and technologies will have a significant impact on banking sector in the near future?
Mm-hmm. So first of all, I believe that some bankers know this better than me, but my personal view is that one of the challenges, but also one of the things we can use with we can solve with integrated data is to combine the traditional risk management with campaign management. In the old times, we had two different views. On the one side, we analyzed the customers on risk. On the other side, we had campaign management. Now we need a single view about the customer, and this means it makes no sense to win a new customer if the risk is high. Correct? So it makes no sense to spend sales money or marketing money to do this one. To integrate this one and to have a single view about customers, to understand their household spending, to understand the future potential income of a potential customer is a big thing. So I compare in this case banks with retailers in the past who were very smart to understand the household income and also the spendings.
Already 5 years ago, Lehman Brothers collapsed. We've got crisis. Maybe the crisis is going to the end. And how the crisis was influence for the Teradata and business intelligence business? What was changed from the client's point of view and from your point of view as a provider?
It's an interesting point. So first of all, I give you my view on crises. When I was studying, this is obviously a long time ago, nearly 30 years ago, at this time, you know, a crisis showed up and took some time, and then you had 7 years and it went up the business. The change, and this never changed in the past and will not change in the future. The only thing which is changing is the time, is the cycle. So crises show up faster, but also the good time comes back faster. So the change of our economic environment is by far faster than years ago. Second one, obviously, this drives our business, because if changes are faster, then these companies will be the winner who identify the changes earlier. Because it's not only that you have to identify a crisis, you also have to identify a boom. Because if a boom shows up in 3 months, and you do not have enough planes as an airline, or if you do not have enough stuff in your shop as a retailer, you will not participate from a boom.
So what do you think, we are just before the boom?
Now I believe the change between boom and crisis is very short. And I'm not an economist to tell you when the boom is coming, but I believe we will, as you have seen over the last 6 years, there are always different industries who are in a boom or in a crisis. And the change is very fast.
But this banking business is changing so rapidly, so maybe it is some prognostic for the future boom and for the big change on the economy and on the market in your business, not only.
I fully agree, you know, but it's not only the banking business. I believe all our businesses is changing very fast now. And we now can complain about this one, or we believe and we do everything that we manage this change better than our competition. And to do this one, I'm convinced integration of data is one of the methodologies to be more successful than the competition. Because you cannot change the world, and the world is that our changes will be up and down dramatically. And even a small rumor can change the spending behaviors of people, and obviously you have to recognize this one. But I also want to answer the second part of your question: what was the impact of the crisis on Teradata? It's interesting, in 2 weeks we celebrate 6 years independent Teradata listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and obviously this was 1st of October 2007. Obviously we thought a boom is coming for the next couple of years, and now we know one of the biggest crises since World War II showed up. And even during these 6 years, we have grown our business more than 50 or 60% in Assam. We added 5,000 people to our team, so we are now a company with roughly 11,000 people globally. And we acquired a lot of companies who make our offering even more efficient for our customers.
So we can trust in you because you've got the best tools to forecast the future in economy. So what do you think, the business intelligence is showing the future will be, the next future will be better than last couple of months?
First of all, it's nice if you trust me. Second one, I would not predict the future. Third one, I definitely see in a lot of countries that the economy comes back and the certainty. I spent a lot of time in Asia as the last month. So we see a trend that in some industries the business comes back a bit. Will we come back to a time when I was a kid, like the 60s, 70s, or 80s? Probably I doubt, because the world economy is by far stronger linked. You do not have local providers, everything is global, everything is very fast. We have the internet, so we have a ton of changes coming up. And we even do not know what is the next change, because none of us predicted the success of Google or Facebook, to name only a few ones, or from eBay a few years ago. So I believe what we should do, we should prepare ourselves, our management team, and our technology in a large company to identify trends as early as possible and to be successful in a new environment. This is my recommendation.
I believe the banks will be in position to properly use this all knowledge which they can get from the business intelligence systems. Thank you very much for our interview.
Thank you very much.